After graduating, Margaret struggled to find work while caring for her sick mother. Yet she paid a stranger's bus fare, unaware this act of kindness would change her life. Mark, a wealthy heir hiding his identity, faced pressure to lead his family's real estate empire, but dreamed of music. Their chance encounter at a bus stop sparked a friendship that defied their world's expectations. What secrets did Mark hold, and how would Margaret's compassion unlock a future neither imagined? Dive into this heartwarming tale of kindness, courage, and destiny. After graduating, she struggled to secure a decent job, and with her ill mother requiring care, she still extended compassion to a stranger unable to afford a bus ticket. Unbeknownst to her, this small gesture of goodwill would lead to a career opportunity that would transform her existence. Who was this mysterious stranger, and what brought him in her life? Settle in as we explore this compelling and unexpected tale. Mark Eric, a wealthy young man from a prominent Lagos family, belonged to a dynasty not only affluent but also influential. They controlled Eric's Real Estate Limited, a renowned firm in the city, dealing in properties, land, and structures. The Eric family was formidable, envied by many. Mark, though kind and unpretentious, preferred his own path, yet he bore the immense burden of his family's expectations. Everyone watched him, anticipating his next move. Deep down, Mark sensed a void, yearning for a purpose he could define himself, though this remained hidden from others who saw him merely as the heir to the family legacy. One Saturday morning, Mr. Paul Eric, the distinguished founder of Eric's Real Estate, sat in his spacious living room. A tall man with silver hair and a commanding presence. He had built his empire from scratch, earning widespread respect in Nigeria's real estate sector. Today, however, concern etched his face. He called to his wife, "Eunice, where's Mark? We must speak with him today. We can't delay further." Mrs. Eunice Eric, a calm and nurturing woman who maintained harmony in the household, entered the room. She glanced at her husband and sighed softly. "He's resting in his room. Should I fetch him now?" "Yes, please," Mr. Paul replied. "We need to discuss this now. The future of Eric's real estate hinges on him." Mrs. Eunice ascended the stairs and tapped on the sturdy wooden door. "Mark, are you awake? Your father wishes to see you in the living room." Mark opened the door slowly, his expression serene, but his heart heavy. "All right, Mom, I'm coming." He descended the stairs deliberately, reaching the living room where Mr. Paul sat on his large sofa, his demeanor serious yet warm. Mark greeted him softly. "Good morning, Dad." Mr. Paul acknowledged him. "Good morning, son. Please, take a seat. We have something important to discuss." Mark settled into a chair opposite his parents, hands clasped in his lap, his thoughts racing. "Dad, Mom, what's this about?" Mrs. Eunice shared a tense glance with her husband. Mr. Paul cleared his throat and spoke. "Mark, your mother and I are aging. We believe it's time for you to assume the role of CEO at Eric's Real Estate Limited." Mark's pulse quickened. "CEO? Me?" "Yes, son," Mr. Paul affirmed with a proud smile. "It's your inheritance, Mark. This is your destiny, the future of our family." Mark clasped his hands tightly. "Dad, Mom, I'm not certain this is what I want. I'm grateful for all you've done, but I want to carve my own path, make my own decisions." Mr. Paul's expression hardened, his tone resolute. "What are you saying?" he asked firmly. "Your own path? Your own decisions? Did you raise yourself? Did you build this company? We've made sacrifices for you, given you everything, and now you want to walk away? Is this how you repay our efforts?" Mark nodded slowly. "I'll consider it, but I need you to understand I'm unsure if this is my calling." Silence enveloped the room. Mr. Paul gripped the armrest tightly. Mrs. Eunice clasped her hands in her lap, and in that moment, a pivotal choice loomed, one that would soon alter their lives. Mark was unsettled by their expectations. His heart felt burdened. His true passion was music, not real estate, which left him melancholic and anxious. He retreated to his room, sitting quietly on his bed, hands clasped, mind turbulent. "Should I follow their wishes or pursue my dreams?" he murmured. "I want to create music, to bring joy through my songs, not by selling properties." He switched off his room's light. Time ticked on, and as nights passed, his anxieties grew. What if his father remained furious? What if his mother wept more? What if he disappointed them? Mark buried his face in his pillow. "I'm sorry, but I must be true to myself," he whispered. "I have to follow my heart." Days later, Mr. Paul summoned Mark back to the living room, his tone grave and firm. "Mark, we need to talk. This can't be postponed." Mark descended the stairs slowly, his legs unsteady but determined. His father sat in his grand chair. His mother, Mrs. Eunice, nearby, hands clasped, visibly concerned for her son and their family. Mr. Paul's voice rose. "Mark, we've built everything for you, ensured a prosperous future, prepared you to lead Eric's real estate. Why are you rejecting us?" Mark clasped his hands. "Dad, Mom, I'm sorry. I value all you've done, but I seek something else. I want to chase my own dreams. I want to create music to find joy in my own way." Mr. Paul's face flushed with disbelief. "Music? Are you out of your mind? You're abandoning a multi-million-dollar enterprise for songs." His voice grew stern. "Mark, hear me clearly. If you choose this, I'll freeze your accounts, cut you off. You won't touch a single car in this compound. You'll lose everything. Think carefully. This is your final warning." Mrs. Eunice wept softly. "Mark, please heed your father." Mark rose slowly, legs trembling but resolve firm. "I won't be your CEO. I'm following my heart." Mr. Paul fell silent, his grip tightening on the armrest. The room grew heavy with tension. Mrs. Eunice sobbed quietly. Mark turned, walked to the door without looking back, left the grand mansion, and ventured into the bustling city. He chose to ride a public bus, a large yellow vehicle, to escape the weight of expectations. Elsewhere in the city, Margaret faced her own struggles. A young woman who had earned a business administration degree, she remained jobless. Standing by her modest window, she gazed at the overcast sky, rain imminent. Her small room held little food, no fund for bills. Her landlord pressed for rent. Her father had died 2 years prior, and her mother was now ill, with no money for treatment. Margaret knelt beside her mother. "Mama, please hang on. I'm trying to find a way to cover your medical costs." Her mother opened her eyes weakly. "Don't weep, my child. I'm proud of you. You're strong." Margaret clasped her hands softly. "Mama, I won't fail you. I'll do anything to find a solution, to ensure you get the care you need." That night, as rain poured outside, Margaret wept quietly in their cramped room, consumed by fear and uncertainty about the future. The next morning, she rose early, clasped her hands, and whispered a prayer. "Please help me find work today. I need this for Mama's sake." She bathed, donned her best dress, clutched her small bag, and stepped into the city's busy streets. All day, she visited companies, submitting her resume, filling out applications, pleading for a chance. As clouds gathered, Margaret grew anxious. What if I don't find a job today? How will I pay for Mama's treatment? She pressed on, her feet weary, stomach empty. Turning onto a bustling street, she spotted a notice board outside a restaurant. "Cleaner needed. Apply in person." Margaret clasped her hands. "Thank you. I'll take any job. I'm not ashamed. I just want to support Mama." She entered the restaurant and spoke softly to the manager. "Good afternoon, sir. I saw your sign. I'm seeking work and ready to clean diligently." The manager nodded. "Begin tomorrow. Payment is weekly." Margaret's face brightened with gratitude. "Thank you, sir. I won't disappoint you." She walked home, her heart heavy yet grateful. "I may be a cleaner, but I'm not defeated. I'm resilient, and I'll do whatever it takes for Mama until a better opportunity arises." At a lively city lounge, Mark sat with a drink, his thoughts troubled. His parents had frozen his accounts and barred him from using their cars, forcing him to navigate the city alone to reflect on his future. He often left home early and returned late, his heart laden with concerns. His parents dismissed his passion for music, insisting he become the CEO of Eric's real estate. But Mark craved a different path, one aligned with his passion and joy. That evening, after a draining day of contemplation, Mark left the lounge and walked toward the bus stop. The sky darkened, the sunset fading. Traffic roared, pedestrians hurried, and the city buzzed with noise. Mark, hands in pockets, pondered his future, oblivious to a man bumping into him. The man muttered, "Sorry, brother, my apologies." Mark nodded and continued, unaware that the man had pickpocketed his wallet. That same evening, Margaret finished her shift, exhausted. She stepped out of the restaurant, handbag on her shoulder, and headed to the bus stop, lost in thoughts of her mother's health, finances, and their future, unaware that a significant moment was approaching. Their paths were converging, their stories about to intertwine unexpectedly. At the bus stop, Mark reached for his wallet to pay his fare, only to find it missing. His eyes widened, his heart raced. He checked his pockets frantically. "Where's my wallet?" he muttered. Thinking he'd left it at the lounge, he hurried back and asked the waiters, "Has anyone found a wallet?" They shook their heads. "No, nothing here." Mark returned to the bus stop, panic rising. "How will I get home without money?" he whispered. Another bus was loading passengers. He approached the driver. "Please, I've lost my wallet. I have no cash, but need to get home. Can I ride for free?" The driver refused. "No money, no ride. This isn't a charity." Inside the bus, Margaret sat by the window, staring out, her mind heavy with worries about her mother, bills, and the future. She overheard a young man pleading, mentioning his lost wallet. Compassion stirred within her. Though she had little money, a voice urged, "Help him. Be kind today." She stood and approached the driver. "Please, I'll cover his fare," she said softly. The driver eyed her. "You're paying for a stranger?" "Yes, I'm sure. Let him board." Margaret opened her purse, pulling out just enough for his fare. The driver relented. "Fine, he can come." Mark's eyes widened in gratitude. "Thank you so much. You're incredibly kind." He boarded and sat near Margaret. They exchanged few words, but a connection began, a new path unfolding. Mark turned to Margaret, heart warmed. "Thank you. Bless you for this kindness," he said softly. Margaret nodded. "It's all right. I'm glad to help." Mark introduced himself. "I'm Mark," she replied quietly. "I'm Margaret." Mark hesitated, heart racing. "May I have your number?" Margaret paused, clutching her bag, wary of trusting a stranger. After a moment, she nodded. "Yes, here's my number." Mark jotted it down, hands trembling slightly, a smile spreading. He noticed her plain restaurant uniform, thinking, she's kind despite her struggles. Her generosity touched him deeply. As the bus rolled on, Mark gazed ahead, unaware this encounter would alter their lives. That night, in bed, Mark couldn't stop thinking about Margaret, the woman who paid his fare despite her own hardships. "Who is she? Why is she so kind when life is tough for her?" he whispered. Curious, he resolved to learn more. The next morning, he called his friend David, an investigator. "David, I need a favor. Check on someone named Margaret. I'll send her number. I want to know who she is, if I can trust her." David replied, "All right, I'll look into it." Mark held the phone tightly, heart pounding. "I hope she's as genuine as she seems." Days later, David called back. "Mark, I've got info. Margaret's a diligent woman with a kind heart. She graduated with a business degree but struggles to find good work. She's a cleaner now, facing hardships but remains compassionate." Mark fell silent, his heart heavy with empathy. "Thanks, David. Let's meet later." He hung up, closed his eyes, and whispered, "Margaret, I'll make this right." That moment sparked a turning point. One morning, Mark visited Margaret's restaurant, eager to reconnect without revealing his wealth. He sought an authentic friendship. Entering, he inhaled the aroma of food. Margaret was wiping a table near the window. She glanced up, sensing familiarity but unable to place him. Mark sat in a corner, avoiding interruption, ordered food, and ate slowly, watching her work. Margaret felt a nagging recognition but couldn't pinpoint it. Mark paid and left quietly, waiting for the right moment to approach her. That evening, after her shift, Margaret stepped out, handbag in hand, heading to the bus stop. A voice called Margaret. She turned to see the young man under a streetlight, smiling kindly. After a pause, she laughed softly. "I remember now. You're from the bus, right?" Mark grinned. "Yes. I'm here to repay your fare, like you did for me." They chuckled, the evening air lightening as they walked to the bus stop, chatting. A friendship sparked, their lives poised for transformation. Mark began visiting the restaurant during Margaret's closing hours, sitting quietly with a drink, waiting for her. Margaret grew accustomed to his presence, smiling at his arrival. They started conversing and laughing post-shift, initially about trivial matters, but gradually sharing deeper stories. They often walked to the bus stop together, their bond growing beyond mere friendship. One evening, Mrs. Eunice sat in her living room, worried about Mark. When he returned home late, she knocked on his door. "Mark, may I come in?" He let her in. She sat on his bed, gazing at him with concern. "Son, I'm worried." Mark sat beside her, head bowed. "Mom, I'm fine, I promise." She took his hand. "Mark, we froze your accounts and cars because we love you. We built this company with sacrifice for your future." Mark met her eyes. "Mom, I know, but I feel lost. I have my own dreams." She squeezed his hand. "I understand. I'll speak to your father about restoring your accounts and cars. We'll give you time to decide. You're our brilliant son. You'll choose wisely." Mark's heart lifted. "Thank you, Mom." She stood. "Rest now. Tomorrow's a new day." In that quiet moment, they found solace. The next evening, Mark and Margaret strolled through the vibrant city, stopping at a wine bar. Mark raised his glass. "To our friendship." Margaret clinked hers. "To us." They laughed and talked, savoring the moment. Mark excused himself to the restroom, leaving his phone on the table. A message from Mom appeared. "Son, I spoke to your dad. He'll reactivate your accounts and cars tomorrow." Margaret saw it, her heart racing. Is Mark wealthy? Was he hiding it? She wondered, feeling hurt and confused. When Mark returned, he sensed her unease. "Margaret, are you okay? Did I do something?" She forced a smile. "I'm fine," but doubts clouded their budding friendship. That night, Margaret returned home, weary and somber. She sat in their modest living room, handbag on the table, silent. Her mother, Janet, now improving with medication, noticed her distress. "Margaret, what's wrong? You seem unhappy." Margaret's eyes welled up. "Mama, I'm confused about Mark, the man I mentioned. I learned something tonight." Janet sat beside her. "What did you discover, dear?" Margaret sighed. "I saw a message on his phone from his mother, saying his accounts and cars would be restored. He's from a wealthy family and never told me. I feel deceived." Janet held her hand. "Margaret, sometimes people hide their truth to protect themselves. Perhaps he feared you'd judge him for his wealth, not his character." Margaret frowned. "But what if he's toying with me?" Janet smiled. "Don't judge hastily. The truth will reveal itself. Your kind heart will find clarity." Margaret nodded, her heart still heavy but trusting her mother's wisdom, though uncertainty lingered. That Saturday morning, Mark, after a sleepless night, decided to be transparent with Margaret. He texted her, "Hi, Margaret. Can we meet for lunch? I need to share something important." She replied, "Okay, where?" They agreed on a quaint restaurant near a neighborhood. At noon, Margaret arrived in a simple dress, bag in hand, and sat across from Mark. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi," Mark replied, smiling. "Thanks for coming." They ordered food and chatted lightly, but soon Mark grew serious. "Margaret, I need to tell you something I should have shared earlier." Her heart quickened. "I'm listening." Mark took a breath. "I'm not just anyone. I'm the only son of Paul Eric, the real estate magnate." Margaret froze, eyes wide. "What?" she whispered. Mark nodded. "Yes, he's my father. You've likely heard of him. Everyone has." She gasped. "Paul Eric, one of Nigeria's richest men? You're his son? But you ride buses and dress simply." Mark smiled sadly. "I chose that to live normally, to connect with people without my wealth defining me." Margaret was speechless. Mark continued, "My parents want me to run the family business, but my heart's in music. I want to be a music producer. That's my joy." She studied him. "So that's why they froze your accounts and cars?" "Yes," he said. "They hoped it'd sway me, but I needed space to think. That's how I met you." She placed a hand on the table. "You should have told me." Mark looked surprised. "How did you know about my accounts?" She glanced down. "At the wine bar, your phone showed a message from your mom. I saw it accidentally." Mark nodded. "That explains why you seemed upset that night." Margaret admitted, "I was hurt and confused." He apologized softly. "I'm sorry. I feared losing your friendship." You treated me kindly when I had nothing to prove. After a pause, Margaret said, I'm processing this, but thank you for being honest. They sat quietly, sipping drinks, the atmosphere calm, yet charged with emotion. Margaret leaned forward, her tone earnest. Mark, can I share something? Of course, he replied. It's about your music passion and the family business, she said. I've seen how music lights you up. He smiled. It's everything to me. She nodded. I understand, but what if you don't have to choose one over the other? He looked puzzled. How so? She explained. Accept your father's offer to be CEO, preserving your family's legacy. It's your father's life's work. Then, start a music label, hire experts, build a team, and nurture new artists. Your name can shine in music as a mentor, not just a performer. Mark's eyes widened. You're suggesting I do both? She nodded. Yes. Don't abandon your talent or your family's heritage. He grinned. That's brilliant. Margaret smiled. I believe in you. Mark gazed at her. You're remarkable, Margaret. You see my potential. Their bond deepened, rooted in honesty and shared vision. That evening, Mark entered his home beaming, humming a tune as he dropped his keys. His parents, reading in the living room, exchanged surprised glances. Mrs. Eunice whispered, He's glowing like he won a prize. Mr. Paul agreed, Something's changed. He hasn't been this joyful in weeks. Mark greeted them cheerfully. Good evening, Dad, Mom. They watched him bound upstairs, puzzled. Mrs. Eunice blinked. Did you see that? Mr. Paul nodded. I'm stunned. Later, Mark, refreshed, joined them in the living room and announced, Dad, Mom, I've made a decision. Mr. Paul leaned forward. What decision? Mark smiled. I'll take the CEO role. I'm ready to lead. Silence followed. Mr. Paul blinked. Son, repeat that. Mrs. Eunice, concerned, touched his forehead. Are you all right? Mark laughed. Mom, I'm fine. I just needed clarity. She frowned. You haven't spoken like this in months. He grinned. I'm serious. I've decided. Mr. Paul asked, what changed? Mark replied, a friend helped me see clearly. Mrs. Eunice raised an eyebrow. A friend? Mr. Paul smiled. Bring this friend. We'd like to meet him. Mark chuckled. Not him, her. Mrs. Eunice gasped. A girl. Mr. Paul nodded. She must be special for you to listen. Mark smiled. She's kind, wise, and authentic. I'll introduce her soon. Peace settled over the household. Smiles shared. Days later, Mark picked Margaret up after work. In the car, he said, I told my parents you helped me see I could do both music and business. She asked, what was their reaction? He laughed. They were thrilled, especially Mom. And they want to meet you. Margaret hesitated. Me? Mark nodded. They said anyone who changed my mind is special. Trust me, please come. After a pause, she agreed. All right, I'll come. On Saturday, Margaret wore her best dress, simple yet elegant, and followed Mark to his home. Mr. Paul and Mrs. Eunice greeted her warmly. Welcome, dear, Mr. Paul said. Thank you, sir, she replied, bowing. Mrs. Eunice hugged her. We're delighted to meet you. They sat, chatting lightly. Mr. Paul asked, Tell us about your family. Margaret answered softly, My father passed years ago. My mother, Janet, recently resumed work. Mrs. Eunice touched her hand. Sorry about your father. Thank you, Ma, Margaret said. The housekeeper served a lavish lunch, pounded yam, vegetable soup, jollof rice, chicken, plantain, and juice. They ate and laughed like family. After, Mr. Paul announced, Margaret, we know you excelled in business administration. My wife and I have decided you'll join our company. Margaret gasped. Sir, he continued, you'll work with Mark as Chief Operating Officer. We trust your heart and mind. Tears filled her eyes as she knelt. Thank you, Sir Ma. I'm speechless. Mrs. Eunice helped her up. You've earned it. Mr. Paul added, the role includes a furnished house and car. Margaret, hand on chest, wept softly. God bless you both. Mark stood beside her. Thank you, Dad, Mom. Mrs. Eunice whispered to Mark, she's a gem. I'd love her as my daughter-in-law. Mark's heart soared. Laughter and hope filled the room, signaling a bright future. That evening, driving Margaret home, Mark said, I'd like to meet your mom. She beamed. Really? Yes, it's time I greeted her properly. Margaret's joy was radiant. At her modest home, she leapt out, shouting, Mama. Janet rushed out, confused. "Why are you yelling?" Margaret hugged her, crying happily. "Mama, God has blessed us." Janet, puzzled, asked, "What happened?" Margaret replied, "I'll explain later, but first, meet someone special." She led Janet to Mark, who bowed. "Good evening, Ma." Janet smiled. "My son, how are you?" "Well, Ma, it's an honor to meet you," he said. Janet held his hand. "Thank you for being kind to my daughter." They stood in the evening light, a breeze bringing peace. Janet urged, "Come inside. Tell me everything." Mark laughed. "I'll leave you to talk. I'll visit soon, Ma." Margaret saw him off, leaning into the car window. "Thank you for today." He touched her hand. "It's just the start." As he drove away, Margaret stood, heart full of hope, light finally in their home. 5 months later, everything had shifted. Mark, now CEO, led with confidence, wearing suits daily, making bold decisions. Margaret, as COO, managed operations smoothly. Together, they drove the company to new heights, earning Mr. Paul and Mrs. Eunice's pride. Margaret and her mother moved into a serene new home, free from financial worries. She drove her blue car to work, smiling daily. The families grew close, bonds deepening. One Saturday, Mark left work early, saying, "Mom called. She needs me home." Margaret asked, "Is everything okay?" He shrugged. She sounded serious. Soon after, Mrs. Eunice called Margaret. "Dear, stop by this evening. It's important." Margaret, heart racing, asked, "Is something wrong?" "No, just something to discuss," Mrs. Eunice reassured. Margaret's mind swirled with questions all evening. At Mark's home, she rang the bell, and a voice called, "Come in." Inside, she froze. Janet stood there. Mr. Paul grinned. Mrs. Eunice radiated joy. Mark's friends recorded, and Mark knelt with a ring. "Margaret, you changed my life, believed in me. Will you marry me?" The room hushed, then erupted. "Say yes." Tears streaming, Margaret nodded. "Yes, Mark, I will." Cheers rang out as Mark slipped the ring on her finger. They embraced. Janet wept joyfully. Mrs. Eunice dabbed her eyes. Mr. Paul clapped heartily, and friends laughed, capturing the moment. Two families united, a love born from kindness blossoming into beauty, marking a joyful new chapter. This tale teaches a vital lesson. Never underestimate anyone. The person you help today may be God's instrument for your transformation tomorrow. Blessings often arrive through unexpected souls. Stay humble, be kind. I love your thoughts. What did this story teach you? Which moment resonated most? Share in the comments. I'll read them all. Another powerful story is coming soon, so subscribe and enable notifications. If you enjoyed this, like and share it to spread the message. Thank you for reading, and until next time, stay kind, hopeful, and believe in God's possibilities.